Picture the bank of a river before sunrise. Karna stands in the water to his waist, face lifted toward the east, arms raised in the posture of Sūrya Upasana, the daily solar worship he has performed without fail every morning of his life. The light is barely a line on the horizon. Behind him, at the edge of the bank, a woman waits. She has traveled to this moment across decades of silence. Her name is Kunti, born Pṛthā, daughter of Shurasena of the Vrishni dynasty, adopted daughter of Kunti, widow of Pandu, mother of the 5 Pandavas, and mother, though no one living knows it, of the man standing in the river before her. The Mahābhārata holds this image in its hands very carefully, because what is about to happen between these two people, what has already happened across a lifetime, is among the most psychologically concentrated encounters in the entire epic. To understand the weight of this meeting, we have to go back to the beginning of Kunti's story. The Adi Parva, the first book of the Mahābhārata, devotes an entire adhyaya, chapter 104, to Kunti's girlhood. She is the only woman marrying into a central royal line in either the Mahābhārata or the Ramayana whose girlhood is explored in such depth. The text is doing something deliberate here. It is establishing interiority before it establishes role. We see Pṛthā before she becomes Kunti, before she becomes queen, before she becomes mother. We see a young woman sent at birth from her biological father to a childless uncle. The first abandonment in this story, not the one she will commit, but the one committed upon her. Then comes the episode that changes everything. The sage Durvāsa, known across the epics as a master of volcanic displeasure, arrives at Kunti's court and announces he will stay for a year. Kunti volunteers to serve him. What follows is a year of rigorous, attentive service, enduring his sharp speech and frequent criticisms without complaint, attending to what the text calls the whims of the rishi, maintaining composure under conditions designed to provoke failure. The word the text keeps returning to is discipline. Not enthusiasm, not devotion as feeling, discipline as practice, as steady action that does not require the inner weather to cooperate. At the end of the year, Durvāsa is satisfied. He offers her a boon. She initially refuses, expressing contentment in having simply pleased her father and the sage. But Durvāsa insists, and compelled by fear of his curse, she accepts. A mantra that enables her to summon any deity, who is then bound to appear and obey her command, whether willingly or not. Even the gods cannot refuse it. Here the text plants a seed of something vertiginous. The mantra is irrevocable. The mantra is irrevocable. Once spoken, it cannot be recalled. The cosmological machinery starts moving, and it does not stop for the person who set it in motion. Shortly after her first menstruation, driven by curiosity and what the text calls youthful impulsiveness, Pṛthā invokes Sūrya at dawn. The solar deity arrives. Startled, she attempts to dissuade him. She is unmarried. She was only testing the mantra's power. She asks for forgiveness. But the mantra, as Durvāsa warned, is irrevocable. Sūrya, bound by its power, fathers a child. To preserve her virginity, the text tells us, he enters her through his yoga power, placing his own self within her womb, without deflowering her in the flesh. He arrives already wearing the world, a natural suit of armor, kavacha, and divine earrings, kundalas, marks of his solar origin, signs that he belongs to 2 registers of existence simultaneously, the divine and the human. And then Pṛthā makes her choice, out of lajjā. That word the Sanskrit carries like a weight. Shame, modesty, social embarrassment, fear of what her relatives will say. She places the infant in a basket and sets him adrift on the river. The text in the Vanaparva, which James L. Fitzgerald identifies as containing the most detailed narration of this episode, gives us the full sequence without softening it. She acts. The river takes the child. A charioteer named Adhirata and his wife Radha find the basket in the Gaṅgā. They name the boy Vasusena. They raise him as their own. Lajjā is one of the Mahābhārata's most precise psychological instruments. It is not simply guilt, which is about what one has done. It is about what others will see, what the social fabric will register and judge. Lajjā binds the self to the gaze of the community. Kunti does not abandon Karna because she does not love him. She abandons him because lajjā makes the alternative unlivable, at least as she perceives it in that moment. And what is devastating is that the same force that drives the act of abandonment will continue to operate for decades, preventing her from claiming what she has lost. She will learn that Karna is living among the Angas as the son of Adhirata, and she will keep this secret from him. The rahasya, the concealed knowledge, once formed becomes structural. It holds the entire narrative architecture in place. Think for a moment about a mother who gave a child up for adoption in circumstances she has never fully spoken about, not in a clinical sense, but in the ordinary human sense of a secret carried in the body, a grief with nowhere to go, a name she says only in silence. The child grows up somewhere else, builds a life, acquires wounds she did not intend but cannot undo. She watches from a distance, or does not watch at all, and then the moment arrives, it always arrives, when the secret and the person it concerns are suddenly in the same room. The Mahābhārata is not a modern adoption story, but it understands exactly what that room feels like. The Yudhiṣṭhira is where the room materializes. It is the fifth book, and Kunti has been largely in the background since the Adi Parva. Now, as Krishna pursues his peace mission before the Kurukshetra war, she acts. She approaches Karna at the riverbank at sunrise during his Sūrya upasana, the most textually resonant possible moment, because he is in communion with the biological father he does not know he has, when his biological mother arrives to tell him. The Karna Upanivada Parva, a subsection within the Udyoga Parva, holds both the Krishna-Karna encounter and the Kunti-Karna encounter, and it is explicit about the complexity of human relations and emotions at work. Kunti reveals everything. He was born in the palace of Kunti Raja, fathered by Sūrya. He is the eldest Pandava. She urges him to join his brothers, to reclaim rightful prosperity from the Kauravas, to stand beside Arjuna. And then, with extraordinary textual precision, the Gaṅgā translation gives us Karna's response. From Mahābhārata, Udyoga Parva, section 146. O Kshatriya lady, I cannot admit what thou hast said, viz. That obedience to thy commands constitueth in my case the highest of my duties. O mother, I was abandoned by thee as soon as I was born. This great injury, involving risk to life itself, that thou didst me, hath been destructive of my achievements and fame. He calls her mother. He calls her mother, and then he tells her what she has cost him. The text does not let either of them off the hook. Karna is not performing anger. The injury is real, catalogued in his body, written across every humiliation he suffered for being called a Suta's son when he was something else entirely. And Kunti is not performing guilt. She has made her calculation. She is here in service of her surviving son's survival. And the text is clear that her approach before the war is strategic. Kunti saw Karna as the pivot around whom the war could turn. She correctly assessed that Bhishma would be kindly disposed toward the Pandavas, and that Drona would never willingly wish to fight his disciples. This left Karna. Her visit is maternal and tactical simultaneously, and the text does not resolve that tension. It presents both as true. After Kunti finishes speaking, Karna hears something extraordinary. The Gaṅgā translation records it with great care. A voice issued out of the solar circle, coming from a great distance, uttered by Sūrya himself with paternal affection, confirming Kunti's words. The Divine Father corroborates the human mother. Karna is now without any epistemological refuge. The truth has been spoken from two directions at once. And he still refuses. He will not abandon Duryodhana, who gave him a kingdom and a name when the world was calling him a charioteer's son. He reiterates that he loves the parents who raised him. They love him, and he will remain loyal to his lifelong relationships. No one should abandon those who give respect and affection. He will not come back. But he gives her something. The number of thy sons will never be less than 5. 5 it will always be, either with me or with Arjuna and myself slain. One of them will die. He is already choosing which one. The Jala Pradhanika Parva, at only 24 slokas, the second shortest parva in the entire Mahābhārata, is where the secret finally dissolves. At the banks of the Gaṅgā, during the water rites for the war dead, Kunti speaks. The warrior whom ye sons of Pandu ye took for the Suta's child, born of Radha, who shone like Sūrya himself, was your eldest brother. Offer oblations of water unto that eldest brother of yours, who was born of me by the god of day. Yudhiṣṭhira's response is devastating in its directness. Alas, in consequence of the concealment of this affair by thee, we have been undone. The grief I feel at Karna's death is 100 times greater than that caused by the death of Abhimanyu and the sons of Draupadi. He then curses Kunti and women of the world, saying they shall be unable to keep any secret any more. The text does not excuse him for this cruelty, and it does not excuse her for the original concealment. It places both griefs in the same moment and asks us to hold them. This is what the Mahābhārata understands about rahasya, about concealed knowledge, that the keepers of secrets do not only carry them, they are changed by them, and the damage accrues across time in ways that cannot be undone by disclosure. Kunti tells the truth at the Gaṅgā. The telling does not restore Karna to life. It does not give back the decades of false identity he wore, like an ill-fitting garment. It does not return to the Pandavas, the brother they might have known. The revelation at 24 shlokas is the second shortest parva in the epic. The text performs its own compression, as if the weight of what is released cannot be sustained at length. It falls fast, and it falls completely. What to carry forward into your actual day? Somewhere in your life, there is probably a truth you are holding back from someone you love, not out of malice, but out of lajjā, out of fear of what the telling will cost you or cost them. The Mahābhārata does not promise that disclosure will fix what the secret has broken. Sometimes it will not. But the text is unambiguous about what the keeping costs. The secret becomes structural. It shapes every relationship that orbits it. It outlives the moment that created it. The question the epic leaves us with is not whether to speak, but whether we are willing to pay attention to what the silence is already doing. Kunti exits the main narrative in the 15th book, the Ashramavasika Parva, walking into the forest near the Himalayas with Dhritarashtra and Gandhari, leaving behind the city and the sons she outlived and the son she never claimed. She perishes in a forest fire. The text does not linger on it. There is no final accounting, no resolution, no moment of grace. There is only the woman and the fire and the forest that received her.